Texas Motor Speedway, May 3rd, 2026. Two storylines colliding at once. One playing out in front of 100,000 fans in the grandstands. The other building quietly in the background for nearly 3 years. And by the end of Sunday's worth 400, both of them exploded at the same time. Let's start with what everyone is talking about. The Kyle Busch and John Hunter Nemechek incident. Coming to the white flag, contact between the number 8 and the number 42. Both cars wrecked, both drivers furious. Busch finishes 20th, Nemechek finishes 21st. Two cars that had legitimate speed all day, both ending up in the wall on the final lap. JHN went straight to X after the race. Not freaking clear, great day going, and just got wrecked. What an ass. Kyle Busch fired back, I did not start this. The 42 apparently doesn't know where the RS of his car is and where he is in relation to the outside wall. There was 2 feet outside him and I was judging my left side tires to the hash marks. Always know who you're racing beside. Two drivers, two completely different versions of the same moment, but here's what the footage shows. After the initial contact, Busch drove directly into Nemechek's car. That was not a racing incident, that was a response, and it cost both of them a good day. What makes this even harder to ignore is that this was not Busch's only moment of frustration on Sunday. Earlier in the race, he got into it with Carson Hocevar simply for racing him hard. The short fuse was lit well before that final lap, and when you zoom out and look at everything happening inside Richard Childress Racing right now, none of this is surprising. It is actually the most predictable thing that could have happened. But before we get fully into the RCR situation, let's talk about the man who actually won the race. Because Chase Elliott had one of the cleanest performances of the entire 2026 season. Elliott did not lead a single lap until lap 152 of 267, when Corey Heim came to pit road on an off-cycle fuel strategy. From that point on, the number 9 Hendrick Motorsports Chevrolet controlled the race with an iron fist. His pit crew ran their 3 fastest pit stops of the entire season on Sunday. When Heim spun in turn 4 to bring out the final caution with 4 laps remaining, Elliott had to survive one more restart. Teammate Alex Bowman gave him a push off turn 2. He cleared Denny Hamlin and pulled away to win by 0.407 seconds. Elliott said after the race, I wasn't really sure whether to go top or bottom. You know, the bottom had been winning out on a lot of the restarts. I felt like, man, if I didn't get clear off of turn 2, I was going to be in a lot of trouble. Fortunately, Alex gave me a great push. This is now Elliott's 23rd career win, his second of 2026, and his second at Texas Motor Speedway. He is the first repeat winner in the last 10 races at Texas. Here is the stat that should put the entire garage on notice. In his previous 87 starts, Elliott managed just 1 win. Over his last 30 races, going back to Atlanta last June, he has been to victory lane 4 times and has doubled his average laps led per race from 9.3 to 18.5. Elliott is now Hendrick Motorsports' winningest driver since the start of the 2025 season, accounting for 67% of their last 6 wins. Tyler Reddick still leads the standings, but he is only 117 points ahead of Elliott now. That gap is closing, and the momentum is clearly on one side. While Elliott was quietly building toward that victory, the rest of the garage was falling apart. Ryan Preece and Ty Gibbs gave us the rawest moment of the day. On a stage 2 restart, Gibbs made an aggressive late dive to Preece's left entering turn 1. That move set Preece off. His radio rant was completely unfiltered. What a expletive idiot that kid is. He is so lucky his car is so expletive fast. Alright, when I get to that 54, I'm done with him. And he meant it. When the two were racing near each other again, Preece surged to the rear bumper of Gibbs' number 54 Toyota and sent him into the turn 3 wall at lap 101. Race over for Gibbs, who finished 36th. Preece told reporters afterward, I'll be honest with you, I hate that he wrecked, but decisions you make on the racetrack, there are repercussions. And I try to race everybody with an amount of respect that I'd like in return. And when you don't do that, I'm not gonna cut you a break, and that's what happened. Gibbs responded on X with an eye roll emoji. This is not finished. NASCAR handed Preece a fine of $50,000 and docked him 25 championship points. Kyle Busch received no penalty at all for the Nemechek incident, a decision that immediately opened up a fairness debate across the fan base. The other major voice out of Texas was Christopher Bell, and his message was directed at NASCAR itself. Before the race, Bell delivered what can only be described as a passionate plea for change to the Superspeedway package, calling it atrocious and a complete joke. He said, it comes down to just a suicide mission of who is going to push the hardest and not get wrecked. Bell pointed to Talladega the week prior, where he led the race and then burned too much fuel and fell to the back. A pure lottery result. His race at Texas ended on lap 68 when Todd Gilliland spun in front of him, but his words before the green flag dropped carried more weight than anything that happened on track. Now the RCR story, because this is the one that changes everything. Kyle Busch joined Richard Childress Racing in 2023 after Joe Gibbs Racing made the decision to move Ty Gibbs into his seat. His first season showed some promise. 3 wins. But since then, the numbers tell a brutal story. Busch has just 8 combined top 5 finishes since the start of the 2024 season, with 0 top 5s or top 10s in the first 7 races of 2026. He is currently sitting 27th in the standings, a 2-time Cup Series champion buried in the mid-pack. All season long, the radio chatter has told the real story. Busch questioning strategy. Frustrated with pit road execution, the tone in his voice communicating that something is broken between him and this team. Insiders have pointed to Martinsville Speedway as the moment where everything broke, handling issues, mistakes, and something in the relationship that shifted and never came back. The team made internal changes, including adjustments on the pit box. Nothing meaningful changed. Busch himself acknowledged, "I feel like Austin, Jazzy, and Oswell are clicking right now, and they are able to get the best out of their race cars. I feel like we are just kind of a little behind the 8 ball on the 8 car a little bit." His own teammate, Austin Dillon, sitting P25 in the standings, is currently outperforming him. That is where things stand. Around the garage, the belief is strong. This partnership ends after 2026. Childress reportedly asked Busch to stay 1 extra year to serve as a mentor for Jesse Love and Austin Hill, the next wave of RCR talent. Busch agreed to that, but the goodwill that came with that decision appears to be running thin. RCR has not put a driver in championship contention since Ryan Newman's runner-up finish in 2014. That is the environment Busch has been operating in. So where does he go? Spire Motorsports is the most logical landing spot. Spire co-owner Jeff Dickerson is Busch's former business manager and longtime spotter, a relationship built over years. Busch already has 4 Truck Series wins driving for Spire, so the connection is real and established. The question is whether a seat opens up, potentially depending on the status of Daniel Suarez's contract. 23XY Racing is also in the conversation. Busch's brother Kurt is already consulting there and has the ear of co-owner Michael Jordan. Denny Hamlin, the other co-owner, is a former JGR teammate of Kyle's. The chemistry exists. A third option, full speculation but not impossible, is a Busch Brothers ownership venture, potentially backed by outside investment, with Kurt already retired and in a position to be involved. Busch turns 41 years old this season. He has a 100-race winless streak in the Cup Series, a number that would have been unthinkable 5 years ago. He is watching his son Brexton, now 10 years old, develop as a racer and openly drawing motivation from that. But motivation alone does not fix a car that cannot match the pace of the top teams. When Kyle Busch drove into John Hunter Nemechek on that white flag lap in Texas, it was not random aggression. It was 102 races of frustration, a deteriorating team relationship, and a driver who no longer trusts what is underneath him, all arriving at the same moment. The next race is Watkins Glen. The tensions do not reset at a road course. Reddick leads. Elliott is surging. Priest and Gibbs will share a garage again. And Kyle Busch will climb back into the number 8 car, knowing that every race left in 2026 is another data point in a decision that, by most accounts in the garage, has already been made.